guys, in this video we are going to discuss about liabilities of auditor, right? This is a very small topic, but it covers very good marks, 1 to 4 marks, and also this is very important topic for MCQ purposes, right? And coming to our topic, liabilities of auditor. Before going to the topic, we will just discuss one definition, that is professional negligence. When a person is said to be professionally negligent, we'll discuss right now, meaning a duty of a person, duty to perform, is failure, means a person has a duty to perform and that duty to perform is a failure to that particular person, and also it resulted into the loss or damage to the other party, then who engaged this professional, right? Who engaged this professional, then such person is said to be professionally negligent, right? What are the elements of professional negligence? There are three elements of professional negligence. The one is existence of duty or responsibility. There must be a duty or responsibility to be professionally negligent. The first one is there must be a duty or responsibility. And the second one is the occurrence of breach. That is the occurrence of breach. Means that duty or responsibility has not been fulfilled by that particular professional. The third point is loss or damage. Because of this breach, loss or damage should have been incurred to that particular person, then that is said to be professional negligence. What are the three elements of professional negligence? Existence of duty or responsibility, occurrence of breach, or loss of damage, right? There are three types of liabilities. This is not two types of liabilities generally, that is civil liability and criminal liability, and also there are some liabilities under Income Tax Act. Totally there are three types of liabilities, right? Under civil liability, there are three sections. Actually, two sections, but we have divided into three. That is section 35 and section 172, 147, subsection 2, and section 147, subsection 3 of what? Of Companies Act, right? Under liabilities under Income Tax Act, there are four sections: section 288, section 278, and Rule 12A, and section 271G. We'll discuss all these one by one. Under civil liability, there are three. Liabilities under income tax, there are four. And under criminal liability, there are three: 34, 448, 447. We may confuse with criminal liability and civil liability because the sections are almost similar: 35, 34, and 35. We'll remember just like this: 35 means there are 5 letters are there. Civil, how many letters are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Thus, section 35 represents civil liabilities, right? 3 civil liabilities, 3 criminal liabilities, and 4 liabilities under Income Tax Act. Right? These are liabilities of Companies Act. That is, these sections are pertaining to the Companies Act. Coming to the basic difference, what is the difference between the civil liability and criminal liability? Everyone thought that usually the civil liability involves usually only penalty, but it might involve imprisonment also, whereas criminal liability involves a penalty plus jail. And also, the civil liability is a case where a duty has been breached and other person has incurred some loss or damage, and that person has went to court. Then the defendant has to pay the compensation or penalty. There might be two parties, and one person shall be have a loss or damage, and he should have went to the court, and there the compensation levied. This is civil liability. Whereas come to the criminal liability, there must be a contravention of law or act, and in such a case, the local government will involve in and penalty or jail punishment will be levied. This is the basic difference between the civil liability and criminal liability. Coming to our main important topic, that is civil liability. We will discuss about section 35. What is section 35? 35 you have already discussed 5. Civil 5 letters are there. We can remember like that if you have confusion. What section 35 says? If a person has subscribed for securities, by seeing any statement which is included or which is omitted and misleading, there are three cases are there. Two cases, which is inclusion. Such inclusion is misleading, or omission. The statement is required but is omitted, and sustain any loss or damage, and this person, right, who has subscribed that particular prospectus or statement or anything, security means prospectus only, then sustain any loss or damage, then the company and every person, you should understand, Every person we are discussing about liabilities of auditors, and we will mainly concentrate on auditor perspective. Every person in this auditor may be included. We'll see what is the every person. There are 5 persons has been defined under the section 35. There are director, promoter, authorized himself to be director, authorized the issue of prospectus, and expect. This is director relating point. Director, promoter, we can say here as a proposed director, and authorized the issue of prospectus. In these 4 cases, the auditor will not come, right? And there is a definition of expert. In this, the accountant is included. The chartered accountant is included, and thus we'll also get the liability in this particular section. If what is the particular section? If any person has subscribed securities of any statement which is included or omission which is misleading and has suffered some loss or damage, and the company and every person, what are every person's director, promoter, authorized himself to be director, that is a proposed director, and authorized the issue of prospectus, and the expert includes chartered accountant, right, is liable to pay compensation to that person, that is a civil liability. And then is an exception to the particular section 35. No person is liable if any person proves that there are 3 types of exceptions. First of all, this exception is related to the director. He has consented to become director, right? He has consented to become director. Withdraw his consent. Sorry, some letters are missing. Withdraw his consent before issue of prospectus. He has consented to be director and withdraw his consent before issue of prospectus. Means he has withdrawn his consent before the issue of prospectus, and it was issued without his knowledge or authority. If he proves to that particular adjudicating authority that it was issued without his knowledge, and also he has withdrawn before issue of such prospectus, then such director shall not be liable in section 35. And coming to the second type of exception, issued without his knowledge after aware of its issue, means he has not consented for the issue, and that was issued without his knowledge, but after aware of that issue, that particular person, here they have not given any director, that particular person has issued a reasonable public notice. He has given a public notice such that I have not consented that, and it was issued without my knowledge. Then that particular person may include auditor. Then that particular person is a exception to the penalty section 35, right? And coming to the third exception, that is the statement was correct and fair representation. This is important point. Everyone will confuse here. We'll just discuss it right now. If the statement was correct and fair, this point is relating to the expert point, correct? The statement was correct and fair in representation. The expert had a reasonable ground to believe up to the time of issue that he was competent and consent was given. Means the statement was correct and fair representation, and that expert who is giving that statement also believes that he is competent to give that statement, and also has consented to give that statement and consented for the issue of the prospectus, and he has not had not withdrawn his consent before issue of prospectus with ROC. He has not withdrawn his consent also, but he was reasonably sure that the statement is he was competent and the statement is true and fair, and he has given consent, right? And also before the defendant means here is the company, plaintiff is the other person who has caused the damage, defendant's knowledge before allotment thereof. If this happens, once again, then this particular expert is an exception to the section 35. That is, he is not liable under this section. There are 3 exceptions. One is related to the director and a person and expert, right? This is the following exception. And coming to our next section under civil liability, we have 147 subsection 2. What is 147? 147 is the residuary section of Audit and Notice chapter 10 of the Companies Act 2013, residuary penalty section. What is 147? 1 deals with liabilities or the penalties for the company and officer in default, whereas 147.2 deals with liabilities of auditor. We are discussing about the liabilities of auditor, so we are concentrating on our 147 subsection 2. If the auditor contravenes section 139, section 143, and section 144 or section 145, this is appointment of auditor, rotation, so many provisions are covered here. And 143 is the duty to inquire, duty to report, fraud reporting, so many points are covered here also. 144 is a prohibited section, and 145 is the duty to sign, right? We have discussed enough on the auditors and companies chapter in our previous videos. If you want to listen to that, please go and watch the previous video, right? If the auditor has contravened any section, any 139, 143, and 144 or 145, then he is punishable, right? If he has done the mistake, if he has done the contravention unknowingly, then the penalty would be 25,000 or 5 lakhs. 25,000 is the minimum one, and 5 lakhs is the maximum one. Or for the maximum point, there are 2 points: 5 lakhs or 4 times of the remuneration, whichever is lower. Is the penalty if he has done the contravention unknowingly. If he has done the contravention knowingly or willfully or intentionally, then the penalty will be huge. That is, the minimum penalty is 50,000 and the maximum penalty is 25 lakhs or 8 times of the remuneration, whichever is lower. For the maximum penalty, we have to see these two conditions: 25 lakhs or 8 times. Here it is 4, here it is 8, doubled. If it's willfully or intentionally done, it doubled, right? And also, if he has willfully done, in addition to the penalty, he shall be liable for imprisonment. That is, this is jail, imprisonment for 1 year. This is an unconditioned. Here, both the penalty and the imprisonment is levied, meaning it is a non-compoundable offense, right? 147.2 is finished. 147.2, there are two penalties: knowingly, unknowingly. Knowingly, 25,000, 5 lakhs, or 4 times of the remuneration, whichever is lower. Unknowingly, 50,000, 25 lakhs, or 8 times of the remuneration, whichever is lower. And it is a non-compoundable. The minimum imprisonment here is 1 year, right? And coming to 147.3, if he or she is convicted above under section 147.2, then convicted means he has been proven guilty. If he has been proven guilty under section 147 subsection 2, in addition to the penalty, he should do what? He should refund the remuneration received to the company. He should refund this remuneration to the company, whatever the remuneration he has received from the company, and also he should pay for the damages to the company, statutory bodies, authorities, and creditors for the loss arised because of that contravention. Right? For the loss arised because of that contravention, you should also pay for the damages. Right? Once again. And coming to our next topic, that is the criminal liability. Sorry, that is not clear. This is criminal liability. And coming to this section, we have completed civil liability. That is section 35, 147.2, and 147.3. We are here going to discuss about criminal liabilities. That is section 34. Section 34 says as follows: any prospectus issued, circulated, distributed. Everything is same. Any prospectus issued, circulated, distributed, and it includes a statement. What? It includes a statement. It includes a statement which is untrue or misleading if included, or omitted which is required to be given in the prospectus. Then every person who has authorized such issue is liable to for penalty as section 447. Right? Here every person is used. Here we can assume our auditor also included here. Right? 34 and 35 looks to be similar, but they are different. 35 is the person should suffer some loss or damage. Here the statement is misleading or untrue. Right? Criminal liability is there under section 447 for every person. There is an exception to this particular thing also. Shall not apply to a person if any person proves that the statement or omission is immaterial. We have discussed that because of the statement that omission is immaterial, then that particular person is an exception to the particular criminal liability under section 34. And also there is a reasonable ground to believe that up to the time of issue of prospectus, the statement was true and the omission was necessary, right? The statement was true if included, and if it is omitted, that omission is necessary. Right? These are the two exceptions covered under this section 34. And coming to the next second point of our criminal liability, that is section 448. If any written report, certificate, financial statement, prospectus statement, other documents, what? Written report, certificate, financial statements, prospectus statements means other documents. Everything is included here. If any documents required for the purpose of this provisions of this act means the Companies Act or rules, then if anything is required, then such person, then that any person means here auditor may be included. Any person makes that statement which is false in material particulars and knowing to be false. that person knows that the statement is false, but he has included that statement in that particular report, return, certificate, financial statements, documents, etc. Right? If it was false in material document, but he has included in it. And also if he omits any statement which is material facts, knowing to be material, right? Here false, knowing to be false, omits, knowing to be material. Right? If he has done these two things, then if he has done any one of the thing with his or, then he shall be liable to penalty under section 447. The penalty for section 34 and 448 is the same penalty, that is section 440. That is the fraud penalty. Right? Coming to our fraud penalty, that is the punishment for fraud without prejudice to any liability, including repayment of debt under this act or any other act. This means without prejudice, without detriment of any right, means the person is liable to pay the debt amount also and also the penalty. Right? What is the penalty? Any person who is guilty of fraud, right? At least if that fraud amount is at least at 10 lakhs, if the amount of fraud is at least 10 lakhs or 1% of the turnover, whichever is lower, then the penalty will be as follows. Imprisonment of 6 months, minimum 6 months, and 10 years max, and it is a non-compoundable offense, and is a non-compoundable offense. The amount of penalty is the amount involved in the fraud or 3 times of the amount. There are two, 6 months or 10 years, and amount involved in fraud are 3 times of the amount. And also if the dispute is relating to the public interest, if the fraud is relating to the public interest point, then the minimum imprisonment is 3 years instead of 6 months. And coming to the amount of penalty, that is amount of fraud, so amount of fraud is less than, that is 10 lakhs or 1% on whichever is lower, and does not involve public interest, then the imprisonment is 5 years or 50 lakhs. This is an amendment, 5 years or 50 lakhs or both. It is a compoundable offense, or is there, right? There are two penalties. If the amount of fraud is less than 10 lakhs, if the amount of fraud is less than 10 lakhs or 1% of the turnover, these two penalties, 6 months, 10 years, and amount involved in the fraud or 3 times of fraud, right? Criminal liability we have finished, and coming to our last topic, that is liabilities under the Income Tax Act. We are going to discuss liabilities and income tax. There are 4 points: 288, 278, 12A, 271J. Right? 288 is a disability to represent as an to the SSC before the income tax. Means that particular person is disabled to be authorized representative of the particular SSC. There are 3 types of persons are there. We'll discussed in 288. A person who is convicted with any IT proceedings, if a person is convicted with IT proceedings, or if a person has been imposed penalty under the Income Tax Act, except for the 271 subsection 1 class 2. This is relating to the any order. It will just refer to the income tax section. This is, if this particular section is there, then such person can be, this is an exception here. If a person has been convicted or his penalty has been imposed, then that particular person is not able to represent the SSC before income tax authorities. And the second person is the legal practitioner or the accountant who is guilty of professional misconduct by the authority. Then also he is not able to represent his SSC. Right? Another third point is our auditor point, that is chartered accountant. If chartered accountant is guilty of professional misconduct in our CA Act 1949, he is also cannot represent as authorized representative for the SSC. This is 278. And coming to our next section, that is 271J, that is a penalty section. Penalty for furnishing incorrect information. Penalty for furnishing incorrect information. If the assessing officer or the commissioner of income tax of appeals, finds in course of any proceedings, finds in case of any proceedings, whom there are three persons are there: accountant or chartered accountant may be included here, or merchant banker or registered valuer. If these persons have made any report or certificate and such information, such report or certificate is incorrect, then once again, then for each such report or certificate which is incorrect, a rupees 10,000 penalty shall be levied. Right? It is for 3 persons, that is the assessing officer or commissioner of income tax appeals, 3 persons: accountant, merchant banker, registered valuer. Any incorrect information, rupees 10,000. Rupees 10,000 for what? For each report or certificate. This is 271J. I'm coming to our next. There are only 2 sections. 278. 278 says if any person abates or induces, if any person is abating or inducing any other person to make deliver to the income tax authorities, what? False account statements, declarations, which is relating to the income chargeable to tax. If any person is abating or inducing forcing other person to make deliver to the income tax authorities the false documents for which are chargeable to income tax, then the person who is inducing is liable for punishment. If the amount of tax, penalty, interest evading because of this false particulars, right? Tax is there, penalty is there, interest is there. Altogether, if the amount of is evading, if it is exceeds 25 lakhs, particular penalty. If it is less than or equal to 25 lakhs, there is a particular penalty to that particular person who is forcing other person to produce, right? That is rigorous imprisonment. Rigorous means in Hindi we can say katin, right? We can say katin. Rigorous imprisonment of minimum 6 months and maximum 7 years, and rigorous imprisonment of minimum 3 months of 2 years. If the amount is less than 25 lakhs or equal to 25 lakhs, that is minimum 3 months and 2 years. Here it is a non-compoundable and condition is used, and the fine has not been specified, right? The fine has not been specified. Just the fine is used. It depends upon case to case basis, right? The penalty is levied only if the particular person knows to be false or does not believe it to be true. 2 points are there. He knows this information is false or he knows this information is not true, right? Then this particular 278 section is applicable to that particular person. And coming to our next point, our last point, that is proof value, right? Our last point on an income tax liabilities of auditor. What it says, authorized representative, if any authorized representative who prepares the income tax return of an SSE he shall either before making appearance to the income tax authorities or after immediately making appearance to the income tax authorities shall furnish that authorized representative has to furnish some information to the income tax authorities, that is accounts, statements, documents supplied to him by the SSE, and scope and result of examination. That particular authorized representative might have done some examination of the books of accounts of the SSE, right? Such examination results in that particular report, if in that particular report there contains any information which is which is false, or untrue, and that particular CA knows it, that particular chartered accountant knows that report contains a false or untrue statements, then also he is liable for rigorous, that is cutting imprisonment of for a period of 7 years, and the fine, here also the fine amount is not specified. The fine has been specified in section 277. Right? This is about Rule TA, and this is the points relating to the liabilities of auditor. Thanks.